want to do this for a long time. That is, take songs that I enjoy and other people enjoy, and dissect them. The song I picked for today is Jackson, which was most famously recorded by Johnny Cash and June Carter. I'm going to kind of go through the chords. I've written out a chord chart, and we'll go through that, talk about the different sections of the songs. We'll talk about how to strum the song, and I'm probably going to break that, the guitar playing part, up into a few different segments. The first one will be a basic video on how to get through the chart, how to follow along with the song and not get lost. As we progress, I will go into more detail on the strumming pattern. There is a very interesting guitar part on this song. There's some really cool walking lines like that, which are played in conjunction with the chords. And when you do all those things together, they sound really cool. But it can be a little overwhelming at first. So we're going to do a simple one at first today. The intro section starts off, just goes like and then they go straight into the first verse. What I would suggest, there is this pattern on acoustic guitar, often found in country music and other genres of music as well, where you kind of simulate what the drums are doing. The drums are doing this kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare type thing. And we do this by playing a bass note and then a strum. It goes like this. So in this particular circumstance, I'm playing a C chord, and I'm hitting the 3rd fret on the A string, which happens to be C. Your A string is A sharp, B, C. So that 3rd fret A string is the actual C note. So we hit that note and then we strum. C, strum. And when I strum the notes that are found below that C, which would be the D, the G, B, and the E string. Oftentimes, a bass guitar might come in with what we call a root 5th bass pattern. And that's when you play your root, which in this case is C. That's the root of the chord. And then you play the 5th, which would be the 5th note in the key of C. And that happens to be C, D, E, F, G. So the bass player might play something like... Your G is found here on the 3rd fret of the E string, which is real convenient if you want to do this. So this is basically the same pattern as what I was doing a minute ago. But instead of hitting a C note and then the chord, I'm hitting C, chord, G, chord. It has the same effect, but it's a slightly different sound. Now in this particular song, they do neither of those things. Remember, they do... I can't tell if it's actually... that, or if it just goes. It's kind of hard to hear. Let's just start with this for now. And let's get through the chord progression. After the intro, we go straight into the first verse. And we do that C for 8 bars, 8 measures. These measures, or bars, happen to contain 4 beats each. So every time you hit the C, you're going to hit, that's going to be a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3. You do 4 more measures. This is 6, 7, 8, and then we go to F. Now, this is F bar chord, right, with E form. It's not a super easy chord to play right at first because you have to gain some finger strength and control with that index finger. And this particular recording, they don't hit that F for their root, like you might expect. That note right there, the 1st fret of the E string, is F. So if we were going to follow the same pattern as we did with the C chord, you might expect them to hit that F and then the chord, right? But they don't do that. They actually hit this F 1 octave higher, which is the 3rd fret of the D string. So you can play this F actually with a chord that looks a lot more similar to the C. I'll include chord diagrams of all these chords, by the way. But once we add the second pattern, the more advanced pattern for the chords, the strumming pattern, we include that root 5th with a C on here. The 5 of F is C, right? So we go F, C, F, C, F, C. For right now, let's just stick with F until we can get these counts down. F, 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 F. And then we go back to the C chord. And then we go to F. And then we go to the 5 of the key of C. We mentioned a minute ago was actually G. We stay on that for 1 measure, 4 beats, and then we go back to C. 4 beats on that C chord, and then we're into the second verse. So total, that whole first verse has 15, right? 15 measures, which is an odd number. We don't typically find odd numbers in music. Typically, we see more even numbers than anything. But some of the songs, or the way that Johnny Cash cut songs, were odd, and we'll find that a lot, especially as we dive into Cash's material. Verse 2 is slightly different than verse 1. We still have 8 bars of the 1 chord right off the start. 8 measures of 1, which would be C. Then we go into our 2 measures of the 4, which is F. Then we hit 1 measure of 1. And then this weird thing happens where we have what we call a half measure, a 2/4 measure. This might have been a mistake in the recording studio that they liked, and they might have decided to keep it. It might have been intentional. It's kind of hard to know, but it's there. And basically what you have is the 12th measure in the second verse is a C, and we only play it for 2 beats. That measure only contains 2 beats instead of 4 like normal. So this can catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. And really, Johnny just kind of comes in early on the next section, which is why those 2 beats are cut off. Then we go back to the 4 and the 5 and the 1 and finish out that verse like the first verse. So the only difference in the second verse is that measure of 2/4. The third verse is exactly the same as verse 1. The fourth verse adds 1 extra measure of the 1 chord at the end, which is C. The 5th verse is the same as the 4th verse. You have that extra measure at the end. And then on verse 6, they kind of hum the melody and do some ad-lib type stuff, and then the song fades out, and that's it. Right off the bat, you want to get familiar with 1-4-5 in the key of C. That happens to be C is 1, F is 4, and G is 5. If that strumming pattern is difficult for you, then start with just quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, until you get the structure and the timing of the song down. As you get the structure down, take on more with your guitar playing. Increase the complexity of what you're doing. In the next video, we'll kind of dive into that strumming pattern a little bit more. When I'm learning songs, I like to learn them as close to the original as possible so that I have that material in my mind. But when it comes time to playing the song, you kind of just play it however you want to play it. Now, if we don't learn the original material and we just play it how we want to play it from the first, we're kind of robbing ourselves. We don't expand our musical mind quite as much. Doing things that are uncomfortable with anything, but definitely with music, is the way to grow. So challenge yourself to play something that is uncomfortable for you. In the next video, we'll dive more into that strumming pattern. I may have to do 2 more videos to finish this song out, but it's a great song. Everybody knows the song. You know, if you play it in a crowd, likely a good number of people will sing along to it. I hope you have fun with it. Let me know if you have any questions about it, and we'll go into more detail about it soon. Thanks.